Spin a child's top on a table and watch it lean far over, yet somehow refuse to topple. The same quiet trick steadies a drone in gusting wind, points a rocket straight, and tells your phone which way is up. Hidden in each is one humble part, a spinning wheel that fights to hold its aim. Tonight we set it on the table, slice the casing away, and watch, slowly, how a gyroscope stays upright. Strip away the toy, and you find three simple things: a heavy wheel, called the rotor, a thin axle through its center, and a set of rings that let that axle swing freely in almost any direction. That is the whole machine. No motor of magic, no clever code, just mass, an axis, and the freedom to turn. Set it down still, and it is nothing, a paperweight. The secret only wakes once that wheel begins to spin. Now spin the rotor, hard, thousands of turns each minute. As it whirls, it stores something physicists call angular momentum. Think of it as motion with a memory. The faster and heavier the wheel, the more fiercely it remembers the direction it is turning. That memory is not a vague tendency. It is a real, measurable quantity, pointing straight along the axle like an invisible arrow. Hold that picture in your mind. That little arrow is the hero of the whole story. Try to tilt the spinning wheel and you feel it push back. Let go, and the axle keeps pointing exactly where it did before, at a corner of the room, at a distant star. Carry the whole frame across the table, turn your body around, and that axis holds its aim as if nailed to the sky. Engineers call this rigidity in space. The wheel is not anchored to anything. It simply refuses to forget the direction it was spun. Why so stubborn? Because that stored momentum has a direction, and nature charges a steep price to change it. A still wheel can be nudged anywhere for free. A spinning one already points its invisible arrow, and turning that arrow takes a real sustained force. The faster it spins, the higher the toll. So small bumps and breezes get shrugged off. The axis drifts only a hair, then holds. Stillness was weakness. Spin became a kind of stubborn strength. Now the strangest part. Push down on one end of the spinning axle, expecting it to dip. It does not. Instead, the whole axle swings sideways, slowly turning at a right angle to your push. Press down, and it veers off to the side. This drift is called precession, and it is why a leaning top circles instead of falling. The force you apply gets redirected 90 degrees around the spin. Once you have seen it once, you cannot unsee it. Those free swinging rings have a name: gimbals. Picture a ring inside a ring inside a ring, each one hinged at right angles to the last. The spinning wheel sits at the heart of them. Now tilt and roll the outer frame however you like. The gimbals absorb every twist, and the rotor inside hangs serenely, untouched, still pointing the same way. The case can pitch and yaw wildly while the axis stays calm. The rings give the wheel its freedom. Give that steady axis a job and it becomes an instrument. Mount a pointer on the frame and the gyroscope holds a heading, a reliable direction that never wanders, even with no view of the sky. Spin it cleverly and it will even hunt out true north on its own, with no magnets at all. For a century, ships and aircraft have steered by exactly this: a wheel that remembers a direction and quietly refuses to let the vessel lose it. But the gyroscope in your pocket has no spinning wheel at all. It is a fleck of silicon, smaller than a grain of rice, called a MEMS sensor. Inside, a tiny mass vibrates back and forth. When you rotate the phone, that same sideways effect, precession's close cousin, nudges the mass off its path by a few atoms' width. Sensitive electronics measure the nudge and read it as turning. Same physics, no rings, simply etched into a chip. Once you know the shape, you start seeing gyroscopes everywhere. They hold a camera steady while you walk, so the footage seems to float. They keep a drone level in a gust and a rocket aimed through the dark. They sense the tilt of a game controller, the rotation of a spacecraft, the slow roll of a ship at sea. Anything that must know its own orientation without asking the outside world leans on this one quiet, spinning idea. No gyroscope is perfect. friction in the bearings, faint imperfections in the silicon. Over minutes and hours, the held direction creeps a little. Engineers call it drift, so the proud spinning wheel is rarely trusted alone. It is paired with magnets, with satellites, with stars, each one gently correcting the others. The gyroscope gives the fast, steady answer. Its partners quietly catch the slow mistake. Together they keep a true sense of which way is which. So here is the whole slice, start to finish. Spin a heavy rotor and it stores angular momentum, motion with a direction. That direction makes the axis rigid, stubbornly holding its aim. Push it and the force turns sideways. Precession, nested gimbals let the case move freely while the wheel stays calm. Read that steady axis and you get a heading, or shrink it to a chip and feel every turn. One spinning idea, holding a direction against the world. A wheel that simply refuses to forget which way it was pointed. Next time a photo holds steady, or your map knows you turned a corner, picture that quiet spin hidden inside, shrugging off the bumps. That is the whole magic, direction remembered. Thanks for watching The Cutaway. Stay curious and come back soon when we set something new on the table and slice it gently open.